What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Creativ Rise podcast. Hope you're having a great day. Today is going to be so fun because we've got our dog coming into the room. You can hear his little jingle, but he's running into our studio.
So two guests.
If you're not watching on YouTube, you should be, because you might have just seen him hop up here. He's now disappeared. But great episode today because we've got our friend all the way from Australia, Mr. Sam Battin, destination filmmaker, wedding filmmaker, who's had a really cool journey of one, growing his business, letting go of the control of editing backlog and all the complications that come with being a perfectionist in the industry, all the way to talking and teaching on this episode about how to create really good relationships with couples and really good ways to show who you are in your brand so that you actually want to be, so that couples want to be bringing you to their destination weddings. And anyways, this guy is great. Sam's awesome. He's got to be, we don't pick favorites, but he's definitely up there with some of our favorite people that
we love being around him. We love being around him. So Sam is a ton of fun. You're just gonna fall in love with him. He gives so much good advice. So here's Sam.
Sam Battin, welcome to the podcast, dude.
Hey.
How you doing?
Amazing. Yeah, just got back from Italy, so full of excitement.
And pizza and everything.
It's so good for everybody listening. It's so great to have a Kiwi on the podcast. He's got a really cool. I'm joking. I'm trying to get him frustrated. So great to have an Aussie on the show.
We love our Kiwis too,
Sam, you have been around Creativ Rise for a while.
Yes.
Take us back. Where did we first meet?
I want to say it was around six or seven, or maybe
round
maybe.
6 of the mastermind. Yeah. Which
Yeah.
year would that have been? Would that like early 2020 or
Yeah, that was early
2021?
21. I think 2020 when joined in the masterclass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Inner Circle was 2021. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yes.
Oh,
man,
so we
fun.
have been around the block together. We are so excited to have Sam here. He is an incredible videographer, does weddings, destination stuff. He is incredible at what he does.
He's a filmmaker.
Keyword
filmmaker.
Just incredible. So Sam, let's start with some rapid fire. I almost skipped ahead because I'm so excited. Let's do a little
the
bit of rapid
typical
fire.
name, where you're from, what your business is, and then how long you've been in business for.
Yeah. Well, name's Sam. I'm a destination wedding videographer.
Heck yeah.
And I started in late 2019 / early 2020, aka the worst year to start any wedding business. So
Borders
not a lot
are
happened
literally
that year.
closed.
Yeah, especially as a destination guy, you're not doing much of that.
Borders are closed.
I wasn't going anywhere. So I'd like to say I kind of like officially started in 21 because not a lot happened in 2020. So yeah, about 4 years in business now, going on 5.
Yeah,
Let's go.
love it. And you do only film, no photo. You're a film guy.
Yeah, photos freak me out. It's just video for me.
Which is so hectic because photo is so much easier than video. Video is way more complex.
But we love
so much more going on.
We love it. Okay.
Hold on. Why do photos freak you out?
I guess, I don't know. It's just like seeing, like when you're filming, you kind of like see almost the end product on your screen. But like photos, because there's so much editing to do later on, like to tweak it. And I don't know. I don't like the idea of just that one snippet. I like the whole the flow of the moment.
You know what? I could see how photos would freak people out, especially in the wedding space, because you're so concerned about getting the shot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And with the video, you get all the shots. But with photo, it's like the one shot.
Yeah,
but I will always stand that videography is way harder.
Yeah, you're getting 24 frames a second
wedding
of the
photographer,
kiss rather than like missing the frame, you know?
Exactly.
Mess it up. So,
Exactly.
all right. And then, Sam, what's a flop? Give us a flop. Humanize yourself.
It's
Give
our
us a
favorite
flop.
question of rapid fire.
What is something you flopped
Embarrassing moment.
in
Something.
business?
In business, there was one wedding that I should have taken in Mexico. They titled it A Party on the Coast, and it would have been insane. But I had a wedding back here. Looking back at it now, I probably should have just associate shot the one back here and gone to Mexico. So I lost out on that one. But you know, live and you learn. I know.
Hey, I bet Mexico is in your future. I mean, you've shot in like U.S., Europe. I'm pretty sure Mexico is definitely going to
Mexico's
be
next
there.
up.
Has to
That's
be there.
awesome.
I love it. Okay, so Sam, when we met, you were Newer to the business, really fired up, really good at what you were doing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you probably didn't feel like you knew how to run a successful filmmaking business to the point where you are now. Give us a little bit of an update on where your business is at now. Like, if you want to share some numbers, awesome, or whatever you want to do. And then take me then back to when we first met. What were some of the things you were feeling as you entered into the journey of, I want to build a destination film business?
Yeah. Well, so now sitting at six figures, a pretty healthy six figures, which is nice. And yeah, doing at least 2 destination weddings a year. Trying to bump those numbers up a little bit because I just love them so much.
Uh,
And then at the beginning of it, when I first met you guys, I was charging next to nothing and kind of curious as to how I can change that and actually get higher paying clients, and then go overseas because I wanted to do, 2 birds, 1 stone, I wanted to travel and also do what I love as well. But like you said, yeah, I didn't really know what it took to actually get to that point. I knew where I wanted to go. I just didn't know how exactly to get
For
there
sure.
specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So US, all over the US, you've now shot in Europe. You just got back from an Italian wedding in Rome. What does it feel like to now be there?
It's just sometimes like, I'm over there. There was a day I was over there, having cocktails on this rooftop bar with the groom and a few of his friends thinking like, how am I, how am I here? Like they chose me and they brought me over to capture their day and essentially to put, all their trust in me is pretty incredible. And yeah, it's something like each wedding that I do is special, but to have someone, go the extra mile and bring you from the other side of the world to shoot their day and then just to hang out with you as well. It's so fun. Like I'm such a social person and I love like getting to know my couples, and actually kind of, spend a few days with them if I can, if we're overseas, and get to know them a bit more because then it helps out with the film. I know who they are and what they're after. And it was
it's
just a
huge.
surreal experience sitting in Rome thinking like, this is my job. It just
Yeah.
doesn't feel real.
Totally. So I love what you said. I'm at a healthy 6 figures. That's such a great way to describe where you're at.
Humble way to
That
describe
is
it.
very. You're definitely at a healthy 6 figures for everybody listening. You're at a healthy 6 figures as a destination filmmaker, getting to travel all across the world, places you've always wanted to go, as you just said. Get to mix travel with the luxury of getting cool places to do your job. How did we get from Sam early 2021 or 2020, even when you were like, okay, I'm just starting this thing up, I'm charging way too little. How did we get to where you are now? Like, how do you,
Yeah.
let's talk all the things. How do you get attention from people overseas? How do you build relationships with them? How do you become, you just said it, the person that they want to bring out of every filmmaker in the world? They chose Sam to bring to their wedding that only happens once. Like, here's the thing about working with brands. If they don't like you that much, they're going to work with a different creative the next month because they probably have another project the next month. A wedding is like a huge deal to pick someone like you to bring them all the way to the other side of the world because it's like, this is only happening once. So maybe we'll start here. What do you believe wedding photographers, and maybe include yourself in this if you can find some way to do that, back in the day, what you would have done? What do you think wedding photographers and maybe the old version of Sam do wrong when it comes to building a brand that people actually want to fly across the world to come shoot their wedding?
Okay, I think it's a few things. So first off is probably thinking, I don't have a portfolio for, a US wedding or a Europe wedding. And say if they're back here, then they think, not like Australia doesn't really look like Europe or it doesn't look like the States. But I think if you're, willing enough to travel within Australia, even a couple of hours down the road, like if you're willing enough to go down there, find a location that looks similar, even if it's just like, one angle that looks similar to wherever you want to shoot. And for me in the beginning, that was definitely the States. And I remember this one specific styled shoot. It was on the coast. It was like this bride on like these rocks, and it was raining. And I was like, this kind of looks like Oregon. I'm like, I could pass this off for Oregon. So I was tagging, Oregon wedding videographer,
I
Oregon,
love that.
and
That's so good.
and then I think it was like a few weeks or a few months after that, then I booked that elopement I did in Oregon later on. So first of all is like not being afraid to, I guess, fake a location, just to
Dude.
kind of like show that I want to say willing to shoot those locations, but at the same time, it's like you're kind of buying into the illusion of social media, which works, you know,
Yeah.
because no one really knows unless you put it in your bio where you are, and if you pick the right locations, you can make it look like you're anywhere, really.
Yeah.
So doing that helped a lot. Doing styled shoots and then tagging the locations I want to shoot in, as well. I remember what you said, Christy, to me. You said, because I asked about destination weddings, and I knew you did quite a few, and I was like, yeah, how did you do it? And you said, we have to be good at what you do, first of all. And then you said the second thing is that you need to be personable and friendly, and someone that the couple actually want at their wedding. And I thought, okay, like I thought, you need to shot here and shot there and have this portfolio, but just really making friends with a couple, not being afraid to show your personality, and just once you find the right couple who vibe with you and you just being yourself, then it's so much easier from there, because they're, like I said before, they're flying you across the world to be with
Absolutely.
you for a couple of days, and they want someone who they're comfortable with for a couple of days. And I
Yeah.
think that comes down to letting your personality shine, making friends with them, like not being too, I guess, I don't like being too formal. I guess I kind of keep it more
Yeah.
casual, keep it more fun,
Yeah.
and it seems to have worked out. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I remember, Sam, when we were first kind of talking about your brand, and you were like you were very like, you came from film school, right? Like maybe the
yeah,
audience doesn't know that. You graduated from a film school, you were like full on into that, and then you kind of shifted into this wedding side of things. And I think we're going to talk about that, I think, later. But one of the things we talked about in the brand is you have such phenomenal work. That check one, you were already checked the box on. And then we knew you personally, and we were like, Sam's such a hoot. Like, he's so fun to be with. He's great to be around. He's so personable. This is like a kind of person you would want at your multi-day
yeah,
family destination wedding where it's intimate. And so having one weird person there or some ultra formal person there is a total turnoff. Like, no one
Yeah.
wants that. Everyone wants like
Yeah.
the person that can hang out with the grandmas and the grandpas and joke and laugh. And you were that person. And I remember we were talking about your brand, and it was so beautiful and curated, and you showed number one, but you weren't showing number two. And we were like, Sam, you got to be showing number two. Like, number two
Yeah.
of the personal side of your brand was so important. And I felt like you started to really show that. And I think people were really catching on to like, we want this person at our wedding. Like, we love his work. That checks out, of course.
Yeah.
But we want this person. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that is, I think, what some people miss when they think destination. They think fancy and expensive, and therefore they need to cut their personality out entirely. And I think it's really cool that you're such a testament to that's not true. Like, you actually should live in more to your personality and your brand.
Yeah.
Because it'll make people want to hire you more,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Sam, what have you done to do that? What have you done to infuse your personality, to not just show your work is really good in your brand, but also go, hey, I am the type of person you'd want to fly to Italy to have me shoot your wedding. Like, I'm the type of person you'd want to be around. How do you do that?
It's kind of like, it kind of took a few months or a few weeks to get comfortable with, first of all, being on camera for social media. That helps a lot. And I know a lot of people don't like to do that. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I don't really mind now. And yeah, once I heard that, it's okay to be, I guess yourself at a wedding, and to show your personality, then I really kind of dived into that. And it was just, I don't know, it was very strange thinking like, I'm upping my prices, but I'm also getting more relaxed. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, usually
Yeah.
people think it has to be the other way around, but it definitely doesn't. And I heard on this podcast ages ago, a phrase for these, I guess, destination weddings and high-end weddings. And because I don't like the term just luxury, I think that scares a lot of people off. But I heard the term laid back luxury, and I'm like, oh, you know what? That actually makes sense. Like, these couples, like, they're willing to really invest in you, but they're also not going to be, super strict and, I guess, quote unquote, boring, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
They're super fun. And I guess they're wanting me there because, I'll try my best to kind of show that in, each email I send to them from the moment they inquire to, especially when we jump on the first call, and we just, for the first like 10, 15 minutes, we're just chatting about what they did on the weekend, what they did today, and what they're planning for their wedding, like what they're dreaming up, and blah blah blah. I'm like not even saying much. I'm just letting them chat about their vibe, what their life's been like, so we can
Yeah.
just connect first of all from the get go,
So good.
and then chat about the logistics of it all after that. So yeah, just
Yeah.
getting
That.
really personal with it.
Love it.
It's great.
What you mentioned prices going up, but you were getting more laid back, and how that felt weird, but it happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your prices going up. What have you learned about raising your prices since you started your career as a
Yeah.
filmmaker?
So what in the beginning, I thought raising prices equals higher end weddings, and that kind of like scared me off a little bit. I'm like, oh, like I did want them, but I didn't want that pressure that came with them. But then when I did up the prices, I realized that that's not necessarily the case. And once I put them up, it wasn't about so much the couples that I was attracting. It was more so trying to figure out how to phrase this. It was, they had this idea that they just wanted a fun weekend, like multi-day. They didn't want, the whole, bells and whistles. They just wanted all their friends and family to come together and to have a really fun time. And they just wanted someone who they can trust and vibe with, who can come and do that regardless of the price.
Yeah.
And I think when couples are, investing so much into, destination weddings, when it comes time to having, everyone there, they're going to be really picky. And because they're investing so much already, they don't really mind to, invest in, $8, $10, $12,000 in their photographer and videographer if they like them. And not only
Yeah.
for their work, but also if they can connect with them. Because like I said, they're going to be around you're going to be around them for, a few days. So you got to have fun with it.
For sure. No, that's so true.
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit. You don't share like numbers of what you charge and stuff like that, but kind of like, how do you price destination weddings? For someone
Or if
who's
you
like,
want, you can.
yeah, you can if you want. But if someone's sitting here going, you know what, I'm only shooting like local stuff. I'm never charging for like travel, and like, do I charge less for on my package because I'm charging for travel, or do I charge more because I'm traveling? Like, how do you personally? And there's no right or wrong answer to this. But how do you personally like to charge when it comes to destination weddings? What does that look like for you?
Okay, so it starts off with I think my average price at the moment is about 6.5, and then on top of that, depending on where in the world it is, I then add on. It's usually about 4.5, maybe $5,000 on top of that, and that pretty much covers that flight, accommodation, car rental if I need it, and everything in between. Really, sometimes, especially in the beginning, that cost won't cover it. Especially, if it's in the States, then the conversion rate makes it a little bit different. So I, especially when I was taking on this first couple of destination weddings, took a loss just because I wanted to get into that market.
Sure.
It didn't really bother me at all.
Yeah.
And so I think, one of the first things to do is kind of like, I guess, fake plan a trip, like figure out how much it's going to cost. Like find that destination that you want to do. Like, let's say, it's the States, and it's like, okay, so these are the flights, this is accommodation around where I'd probably want to, get a wedding at. And then just get a ballpark figure from there and present it to them. And don't be afraid to, I guess, take a bit of a loss. Or, earlier this year, I did a wedding for free in California, apart from the travel, just because I knew it was going to be a great wedding. They were an amazing couple, and the groom had quite a big audience on his social media. And
Yeah, why don't you
so-
talk a little bit more about that experience and why you chose that one to be? Because obviously you're doing, close to multiple six figures in your business, but you're like, hey, I'm actually going to take this for free, which someone might be going, whoa, like that's actually blows my mind that you're willing to do a like free, package plus travel. Like, Why did you choose to do that? Someone might be wondering as listening to this.
Yeah, so it was. I got it through a photographer friend of mine who, well, Andrew. He also did Creativ Rise, and he kind of like said to me, he's like, "Hey, like I've got this inquiry. Do you want to come and shoot this wedding with me?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah." And he's like, "Look," and we kind of chatted about it. It's like, "Look, they're influencers. I think he's got like 12 million on TikTok and 4 million on YouTube, and a lot of followers." And we're like, "Look, let's just." We won't go there for long. We'll split the accommodation, and we'll just do the wedding for free, except for the travel. It paid off. I got after that when put out a trailer and he put out his photos. We got quite a few inquiries, which is really good. And it's also just that it was a young crowd, so we got along so well
Great
with
networking.
with the couple and all there. They had quite a big bridal party, and a lot of them were still yet to get married. And at the end when we're leaving, they're like, "Oh, like, would you fly back for my wedding?" And we're like, "Yeah, absolutely." So, and that's all
Right.
part of being really personable and just ecstatic to be there.
Yeah.
And which we were, because it's no secret that I love the States. I wish I could live there, and I'm trying my hardest to. But yeah, like and that's kind of the reason why I took it, because it's like,
Yeah.
any excuse to be back there. And I was in California, out of all places, like Palm Springs. I'm like, of course I'm not going to say no to this wedding.
Yeah.
Of course.
What I think is so cool too about what you've done to build this destination, filmmaking business, is you have always taken advantage of opportunities when it wasn't originally a business opportunity. Like,
Yeah.
I remember you came out for an inner circle retreat. You flew all the way from Australia, all the way to San Diego.
That was awesome.
And it was so cool. And I think you actually had a wedding you were shooting. Where was it? It wasn't
There-
Ohio. It was
it
like,
was- no, that
was
was-
it Ohio?
Yeah,
Or was
I
that
think
a
that was
different trip?
beforehand though. I did one in Ohio, which is
Okay, yeah.
But
Crazy.
when you came
but
out,
when you came,
you shot so
you-
much U.S.
Yeah.
content.
shot so much. Like, you guys set up so many styled shoots. You guys were just like grinding on this trip. And
Yeah.
I think so many people aren't willing to go the extra mile that you need to go if you want to get into destination work.
Yeah.
If you want to get into
That-
destination work, you've got to put in the work to make it happen. And a lot of that is, hey, I'm out of pocket flying to the places I want to go, setting up, just these freestyled shoots, setting up, couple shoots, really making that, like, you're activating that trip to just not be a fun trip, but actually like a business
Yeah.
opportunity. And you did that so well. So well, which I think helped you land.
How do you take that risk? Because I think a lot of people listening to this, and you probably had situations where you're like, "Oh, should I do it? Should I not?" How do you know whether it was this wedding you just shot for free, whether it's that trip, that original U.S. trip where you toured around in a car and you shot everywhere you could? How do you decide, like, what is worth it and what's going to have an ROI and what's not?
I think part of it is you have to love it. So whether it works out or not, you're still having a great time, and it's not really
Yeah.
going to bother you if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
The other is, I guess it sounds corny and I hate it, but like believing in yourself and trusting the process a little bit, thinking,
Yeah.
like there's no harm in, because originally we were going to go there just for the inner circle retreat, but we thought, we're there already. Like, what's the harm in, putting together a few styled shoots, in these amazing locations, and just sacrificing sleep for like the first like week of us being there, to get content that we can then later on post and then get traction for those locations, So that trip that we did, when we got there, we started the afternoon of when we landed. We started with 2 styled shoots in Malibu, and then we went up to, I think it was Big Sur the next day, did one there, crossed over to Yosemite, did another 2 there, and then came down to Joshua Tree, did a few there, and then ended up in the inner circle retreat. So it was, I guess, when we told you guys, Joey, I remember you like, that's just dumb. Like, you guys, you haven't
Well, the
slept.
funniest part was you guys were like, "Oh, it'll be sweet," and then everybody else is showing up to the retreat so like ready and hungry to, and you guys showed up, and I was like, oh, here's all the Aussies getting out of this van and they hate each other already because they've been living in a car with each other for like
Pretty much.
4
It was
days.
a love-hate.
It was so good. I mean, you guys were fired up, but I was like, gosh, you guys are going to be exhausted even after this retreat because we're going to put you through the ringer as well. But
you guys
Yeah.
brought the energy.
but it's worth it, right? My point is,
So worth
it
it.
turned a great ROI. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I think it's so important to take risks, as you said. The risk has got to be quantified. That if this doesn't work out, is it still worth it? And you said you've got to love it.
Yeah.
Which is I think really cool. Now, here's my question though. When you do take a risk on yourself, you do shoot a wedding for free, or you do a bunch of styled shoots. Maybe you even have to spend the money. The risk is you're putting out money before you're guaranteed going to see it come back in. How do you then take that opportunity and really make sure that it's going to turn a profit for you? Like, let's use this example. Let's use this free wedding as an example. You just shot a free wedding. What are some of the things you did at the wedding? What are some of the things you're doing after the wedding in order to hope that it's going to drive business for you in the future?
Yeah, so I as soon as we got there, I kind of knew like I really want to make this one of my, I guess, flagship weddings to really, because I love Palm Springs, love the States, and I want to get back there, as soon as I can. So I was like, I'm going to go a little bit above and beyond for this and do stuff, for free that they didn't expect. They might not even notice, but I'm going to do it anyway to just kind of add that extra layer. So, when we got to our where we're staying, our hotel, it was directly opposite that huge mountain in Palm Springs, and the sun was just setting behind it. I'm like, oh, this would be great for a time lapse. So I get my camera out and start that instantly, and just something cool that I could add into the video later on. I also brought a little cool 3D film camera to add a little something to their wedding and their wedding video, which turned out really well. As well as we said, we knew they're having a rehearsal dinner, and we're like, hey, like we'll come along, obviously free of charge, but just to add that extra bit of value to their wedding and that experience. Plus, it gave us an opportunity to kind of get to know everyone a little better. And so, we took them aside for like 10, 15 minutes on the rehearsal dinner and did like a little shoot with them there, and then shot, cocktail hour. They did quite a few speeches, which was gorgeous. Some of the best speeches I've ever heard. Which if we weren't there, if we didn't put in the work and say, let's just go along for free, we wouldn't have had that. So I guess it's just like, deciding how much you want it. And I think a lot of people, especially me in the beginning, I was like, oh, well, I can't get a destination wedding because I don't have that portfolio. But it's just like I said before, you just make it. You find a location that looks similar, or you do what we did in California. You fly over there, do a few styled shoots, make a holiday out of it, but then incorporate a few shoots so then you can actually get that content and post it.
Love that.
Which I think was really key to, getting all these destination inquiries, because I guess couples saw, I was flying, here, there, and everywhere. And that's the illusion of social media. Like, no one, unless you put, in your bio where you are, you could be anywhere. I actually I catch up with my high school friends, like maybe like once or twice a year around Christmas time. And they were like, oh, like we thought you were living in the States. Like, where are you now? And everything. I'm like, dude, I'm back home. I just fly over there whenever I can and shoot what I can to then make sure I can go back there another time. Yeah.
That's what I always tell people when they're like, I'm not getting any destination. And yet, like, on Instagram when you're like searching somebody and it comes up as like Ohio wedding photographer, like it's no longer even their name.
I was gonna say Ohio as well. I think it's
always
Ohio
wedding photographer. And I'm like, that's why, because you might be going, oh well, that they'll at least know where I'm from, but it's like a tick against you of like, oh well, they're there and they're saying they're there, and so they must only want to book local. Like, clients that aren't in the space don't know that people want to book destination weddings, right? They don't know that you actually want to travel. A lot of people are like, oh, they probably wouldn't want to travel because it's more time or whatever. And you have to give yourself almost this like anonymity of where you live. And I remember I did that. Like no one knew where I lived. Everyone thought I lived in all these different places, and I just never told anyone where I lived. And it was really helpful because if they don't know, they're more likely to actually inquire to ask. And then you can sell them in that process, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're listening and you're like, I'm not getting destination stuff, check to see if you're the poster board for Ohio or the poster board for Southern California or whatever that is, and make yourself a little more anonymous. Doesn't mean you have to get rid of it entirely, but a little
Yeah.
bit more anonymous, which I think would be really helpful. So, okay, Sam, we were talking about this before, and we have journeyed with you in this, but I know you came from film school, which I'm sure was like perfectionism. Talk about that in your business. Is that something you struggle with? Is perfectionism a part of it? How do you overcome that? If so, let's dive into that, because I think a lot of videographers and filmmakers do struggle with this. So go ahead and give us a
Yeah.
little bit of context.
I think, look, film school probably didn't help with it, but I think, a lot of creatives to a certain point are perfectionists because we, kind of put a little bit of ourselves into each of our works. And so overcoming that, and I'm still overcoming it, each day,
Yeah.
every time I edit I think is the hardest thing, because you gotta let go of that ego. You gotta let go of the idea that this has to be the best wedding ever. And remember that you're not delivering a film to another filmmaker. You're delivering it to a couple who are going to be over the moon, just seeing themselves on camera, everyone that they invited to their wedding, their venue, the whole thing. So yeah, letting go of that was really difficult, and still is. But there does come a wedding here and there where I think I'm gonna really put a little bit more time and effort into this one. Not favoring it at all, but like if it's a destination wedding and it's like, oh, I really want to make this one shine, to go back there again, So, but once you do, I feel like it's not practicing what I preach, but once you do let go of that, then things kind of pick up a little bit. And then you realize once you get couples coming back to you saying like, oh my God, that was amazing, the best thing ever. And you thinking to yourself like, oh, I put in like, 70, 80% in that. To them, that's 100, 110. Like they love it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
One lesson that it took a long time for me to learn was, if all videographers sit on a spectrum, you got the really good, the really bad down here, and then you've got everyone else in the middle. Couples only see, like, that spectrum just gets a little wider. They only see, pretty much the middle. They can only tell the difference between the best of the best and the really, really bad ones.
Yes.
Everything in between, just it mushes all together.
Yeah.
To them, it looks the same, which is, the most soul-destroying thing to tell a videographer, and even to say. It's like, yes, your work looks the same as everyone else compared to, or just coming from a couple.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because there's a lot more that you can offer besides just the work that you produce. It's the personality that you bring on the day. It's the experience that you give them, and also just tweaking, putting a little signature touches on it as well. But letting go of that idea that has to be the best of the best is really hard. And but once you get through it, as I was saying before, before I left for Italy, I was editing almost a wedding a week, which for me, it was pretty big to do that, because I would sit on a wedding for way too long and just be tweaking like the tiniest things. And then when the couple see it, like, they love it. But then I realized, they probably didn't notice that I put that reverb on that hawk screeching sound in the desert to establish that. They don't care.
They have no idea. They didn't even notice the hog at all. Yeah,
No,
totally. So
exactly.
That's awesome.
this is something that I think is so crucial. Sam, you and I have had this conversation. I can't even count how many times.
Two recovering perfectionists.
Oh yeah, because we're very similar, and I feel like I just beat you to the point where I can let go of stuff a little bit easier, and I know you're getting there. But the reality is too, it's not like, oh, only put in 80% effort because it's better for you. It's also a win for the client, because nobody likes to get their wedding film back 5 months from when it happened. Like, the earlier you can get somebody's film back, the more stoked, the closer they can rewatch that film to the day they actually lived it, the better the actual film experience is going to be, because it's going to bring back everything. Where the longer that goes by, they seem to, kind of, yeah, I wish we had our film. It's too bad. And then by the time you get it, drawing something out doesn't always actually enhance its value. I actually think the efficiency of delivery, especially on something as sacred as a wedding film, can really actually enhance the perception of like what they're watching and how they feel about it when they're watching it. So I know
Right.
you and I have talked about this all the time, but so you're not saying do 80% because it makes your life easier. It's not an excuse to cut corners. It's an excuse to realize that 80% is really 100% for the entire world, other than the person because you're just going to run in circles the whole time, perfecting the hawk, the reverb on the hawk in the desert, as you just said.
Yeah.
And so not only does 80% get it off your plate and you can move on to your next couple, which is what your job is to do, but it also allows that couple then to get that 3, 4, 5 weeks earlier than you just sitting on it and constantly reiterating stuff, which enhances the value of your service. Because the quicker you can turn something around, especially on a wedding day, the better the service is. So for anybody that's listening, that's like, gosh, like I resonate with what Sam's saying and maybe even what Joey's saying, like it is hard to click done on a project. We all can agree on that. It's difficult, especially when it's something you feel is, again, sacred as somebody's wedding day. It's like, well, this is the only time they're going to get this film. But it's also important to remember that value is enhanced with sped up delivery times, which is something that we often don't think about, but it's so true. So something to consider just based off what Sam's saying there. And it's something I have for sure learned in the past. Like I actually lean way more on that side now where I'm going, what's a delivery time that I want to commit to that's going to make the bride and groom so stoked or the client so stoked, the brand so stoked? And then what is the max that I can make this thing pop in that amount of time, but still deliver on time? And then once I hit that date, I'm like, their value is going to be enhanced if I deliver now. So whatever it's like, I've pushed it as far as I can get it in the set amount of time, send. And you're right. It always comes back with them. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, this is so great,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh my goodness, phew. I could have spent another 3 months on that. An unhealthy 3 months, but
Uh-huh.
goodness gracious. That's something we all struggle with.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
well, Sam, what do you have? Do you have anything else to say around that? Because I know that's a big topic that you and I have chatted about a bunch, and I know that's something you're continuing to figure out how to let go of, myself included. Anything else to say on that?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go a little bit back on myself for just a quick second here. But as much as, the delivery time is important as well, I make it clear to the couple that I don't outsource my edits. I'm there from, the moment they inquire to the moment it's delivered. It's all me. It's not going to be a different company that, an editor that wasn't there on the day. And I made that choice because, I do like editing. I do like building out the story. And couples, every time I've said that, they're okay with it because I say, look, it will take a little longer than perhaps other people you've looked into, but it's going to be me and only me that's going to, touch your film.
For
And
sure.
they're totally okay with it as long as, and this is something that still I'm even, getting used to and trying to implement more, but communication is key. Just letting them know where they are in the queue, like what's going on, and stuff like that. Just keeping them updated is super important. Even if it's going to be a little while, like they appreciate that update so much, because at least they know and they're not like left in the dark, which is never our intention as videographers. But that's, I guess, our problem is that sometimes we think to ourselves, oh, we're videographers, but it's like you're also a business owner, which is the hardest lesson to learn. It's like you have to realize that you're running a business, you're dealing with client experiences. It's not all about your sick drone shots that don't are in the video for 2 seconds.
For sure.
And delivery time, yes, super important. But I also think don't rush it. Don't cut too many corners to the point where it's not going to look like something.
Of course.
You're not
quality
delivering
needs to
what
be
you
there.
promised.
It's better to deliver it's better to just deliver on time and quality. But yes, it's like if you need to be like, hey, I just really feel like we need to push it even just a little bit more just to get it dialed to what exactly you guys need and want.
Communication.
People will be very excited about that if you keep them up to date, for sure. The worst thing in the world is having people email you when am I getting this? When am I getting this? That's the worst. But if you can give those constant communication updates that I know that you are so good at of giving those updates, it helps like decrease the time in someone's brain, right? If someone
Yeah.
gets like that, hey, you'll be receiving your film in 2 weeks. Hey, 1 week. Hey, 4 days. Like that countdown just helps people to not feel anxious of like, when is it actually coming? There's no wondering. It's like, this is, I know exactly when I'm going to get it. And then I feel great about that.
It's like that study that was done in, I think it's the London.
Yeah, the train.
The London train.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like they did a study where people were getting frustrated about the train times. And
Like,
so
oh, waiting
all
too
they
long, waiting
did
too
was
long.
put a sign up that would tell you how long till the next train. And that eases people's anxiety. That totally changes people's perception of the value of how quick the train is coming, simply because they know when it's coming.
They didn't shorten the train times. It's just telling people when it was
The train times never got shortened. They've just given clarity to when they can expect the train's going to arrive. And it's crazy how different that makes somebody actually feel. So, Sam, let's talk a little bit more about communication, because it is so important. I mean, it's so important as a destination creative, serving somebody that's going to hire you for a destination. But it's also so important on the back end of like delivery. So what does your communication look like on the delivery side? How do you make sure that someone stays up to date? You said this communication is key. What does communication being key actually look like for you and your business? And how has it helped your business with client satisfaction?
Yeah, so I'm still, implementing this and trying to get better at it. But basically, I like to use pretty much like a tactic that, like, if you ordered a package online, they're going to let you know when when the order's been confirmed, when it's dispatched, when it's out for delivery, and when to expect it, like what day. And if I can do that with the films, so I'll say, I'm waiting to come. The wedding, like after the one I'm editing at the moment, I'll let the couple know, hey, you're next in line. Then when I get around to it, I just started it, super psyched, looking through the footage, makes me relive the day, that sort of stuff. And then, let them know when I'm halfway through, like almost done. And then the finishing touches, like the coloring and the sound, like just applying the final touches. Won't be long at all now. And even if they don't reply, they see that, and it's like getting a package. You're just like, okay, sweet. Like we're halfway now. It's coming. The final touches are going on. So, and it kind of builds that excitement a little bit, as opposed to just like getting an email out of the blue. It's like, here's your film. It's like, oh, okay. So that, and what I'm doing now is trying to figure out a way to automate that on my CRM, to just kind of like, once I get up to it, then I can just hit one button, and then that's just going to send that email. And then, so I don't have to be like typing up emails all day, figure out what I'm going to say. Just, it's pretty stock standard. Hey, this is like automated Sam letting you know that, your film's begun and halfway and so and so. So getting really kind of leveraging my CRM to do that for me is my next kind of goal. And yeah, just over communicating, and always just being honest. Like couples know, they see me on Instagram that I'll travel. And so that obviously takes time out of editing as well. Like, don't get me wrong, I was editing in Italy, but obviously not as much as I would, back here, because, first of all, filming a wedding, different country, I want to go experience it as well. And I think that's totally fine as well. Like, as long as the communication's there, I think couples, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't understand that you are just a human. And, and as a business owner as well, like, we can be so hard on ourselves and just not take time off, which can only lead to burnout, which means, films get delayed even more. And I've been there. There was definitely a part last year where I just couldn't. I was burnt out. The weddings got delayed, and some emails rolled through, and that's when I thought, okay, I've got to change this. So that's when I had the idea of, keeping them updated, letting them know where they are, and then just, being casual about it, but not lazy about it. Like, being real, be like, oh, like, I'm just heading off to Italy. When I'm back, I'm diving into the edit again. Like, I'll make it pretty well known that I don't have a wedding until like August, September. So all I'm doing now is editing and eating and maybe going for a walk here and there. Like
Yeah.
that's my life,
You're
and
in the
I'm happy
cave.
with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Because this
Yeah.
is the season I'm in. That's okay. Like to be in a
Uh-huh.
season of absolute grind is all right because it does happen. Where you got to just sit
Yeah,
down and get things done.
for sure.
Because just had a great time in Europe, and then later on, next year I'll be back in the States and actually heading back in October this year as well, which would be like a mini
Uh,
kind of break as well. So
So cool.
it's just it's being okay with being super busy, but then letting couples know, being like, hey, like all I'm doing now is editing and editing, so
Yes.
it won't be too long. So yeah.
yeah,
I-
in the queue.
I love what you said about it helps build the anticipation.
Yes.
And I thought that
So
was
good.
so smart because I've never really thought of it that way. I've always just thought, oh, you're appeasing, you're minimizing the angst that happens in the waiting period. But instead, it's not just that, but it's also like, how do I increase anticipation, which is a huge mental trigger for so many clients. And I think that's really cool how you're implementing that and then going on to automate it as well. I think that is like such a tactical takeaway someone can take from this episode, which is super cool. Well, Sam, we've got to walk through like just fun seasons of life with you, fun seasons of business, even just like developing a friendship with you has been so fun. And to think all the way back in 2020, I think it was, when you went through the mastermind. I know that feels like ages ago, but from that season of life, what do you kind of remember as maybe some highlights going through that mastermind, whether it was the community or what were some highlights for you and thinking of what were some things that maybe were pivotal in your growth in that season that you can kind of recall back on?
Yeah, I guess first of all, yeah, definitely the community. Everyone's
Yeah.
so cool in it.
That-
Still chat to a lot of
So
them.
good.
Today,
Yeah.
Rob and his wife came to Australia and we caught up.
So fun.
Just having friends around the world is super cool. The other thing as well is that I'm very much like a visual person and don't like taking on too much info at one time. And the way the mastermind was laid out, it was so digestible, like very visual. You got that notebook with it to kind of work through the modules, and it was just super easy to go through, and it made it realistic. It's like, oh, okay, so this week this is what I need to do in my business, and then next week I can do that, as opposed to like a whole bunch of information. It's like you need to get this done, this done, this done, change this, and it's just like let's just break it down and
Yeah.
and go from there, it just made it such a good experience. And then to have that on top of, you guys and the community it was super fun.
Such a good community. So many
so good.
solid.
Yeah, I like how you said it's my wording for what you just said would it's sprints. So hey, run hard on this, and then you're gonna finish it, and then run hard on this, and it's guided sprints rather than just like, oh hey, by the way, Sam, you got to run 50 miles in the next 6 months. And
Yeah.
you're like,
Please no.
what the heck?
I need my
How am I
everything.
going to do that? So
Yeah.
it's and I think you and I are very similar. It's foundational, I think, to how we even learn. Like it's very difficult to take on all that stuff all at once, but if you can chunk it up, you can actually accomplish things, which is really cool.
And you've
What's that
accomplished
saying?
so freaking much.
It's like, how do you eat an elephant? It's like one bite at a time or something like that.
That's
That's true.
so gory. That's so gory, but it works. It
So
works.
it's true though. Like, yeah, break it up. Those guided sprints, I like that because
Yeah.
it does make it more realistic, and the accountability of it with your pod groups and then the wages, even though they don't work out. Pretty sure it's all filled up now, but
You fill everybody in on what happened.
I think I wanted to book. I think it was like a destination wedding in California specifically, and I had like 3 weeks to do it or 2 weeks to do it, and
We did like a
tried.
bet.
Yeah, and so everyone puts in a wager. I think it's like halfway in the mastermind of like, some are rewarded or are encouraged by reward, some are encouraged by fear. I'm definitely a fear guy, so I was like, oh, I'll pierce my ear if I don't get this done. I was like, it'll be fine, don't worry about it. Anyway, 2 weeks later, I find myself in this salon getting my ears pierced because I didn't get it done, which sucked because like 2 weeks after that, I booked the wedding in Ohio, I think it was, or somewhere in the States. I'm like,
Yeah,
if it was only 2 weeks extended.
And
Anyway,
now
so
you're some bling to wear to Ohio.
Yes.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So, I had that. I think I wore it to a wedding or two, and they're like, "Why is your ears pierced?" I'm like,
Let me tell you.
But yeah, exactly. So
That's
So
that
good.
was
so fun.
that was
But
super
it
fun.
but it pushes you, right? Like you said, you probably
Yeah,
did things you wouldn't have done if you didn't have some type of either reward or some type of potential pain
Yeah.
coming
yeah.
down the pipeline if you didn't accomplish it, which is really cool. So,
Yeah.
dude, I love it, man. What would you say to somebody that's considering like, hey, I want to grow my business this year? Would
Mm,
something like the mastermind be a fit? Because it's not a fit for everybody.
yeah.
Who would you describe as the person that, hey, if you are this type of person, this is a great fit for you?
I think if you're, yeah, you don't even have to be in the early stages of business. You could kind of be like, midway through, but still you're not quite sure on the specifics that you need to complete to get to where you want to go.
Um,
Or if you're just looking for a community to help get you there, that helps a lot as well. Like that accountability, knowing that people are in your position as well. Um, and yeah, just getting, because sometimes you can search and search forever on the internet and not find what you need to actually, realistically build your business.
uh,
Or, every man and his dog has got like, a podcast going on how to build a successful, and it sounds funny, ironic, because, well, we're on the podcast now, but
That's what we're
what I'm,
doing.
yeah, no, totally.
We're just
but
missing the dog.
there's so much noise out there, and I
Yeah.
feel like the mastermind just kind of like cut all of that out, and it's like this is what you need to be doing.
Uh,
Um, and I'm sure there's other masterminds out there that do something like that, but
mhm.
the oars that I found was just the one that actually was so digestible, so realistic, and that community was kind of like a bonus for me. I knew there were going to be other people in there, but I didn't know I'd have like that good of a friendship with the people
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
group, and then that who went to the inner circle as well. Like it was
Uh-huh.
just it's crazy, like quite literally friends for life. And I've
Yeah.
gotten
Yeah, dude, it's been like 4.5, 5 years.
That's
Like
crazy.
that's
yeah
crazy.
yeah
But yeah,
So cool.
yeah.
Well,
yeah
you gave so much in that community, Sam. So I just wanted to say thank you. And you still continue to give, which is so cool. And I feel like you're just giving so much information and just like vulnerability on this podcast episode. And I just really want to thank you for that.
so
Our like final farewell type of question that we like to ask
brilliant.
every guest is why is it worth it to break the creative struggle? Like why is it worth it for Sam, who could have just gone and gotten a 9 to 5 and done something different? Why was it worth it for you to put it all on the line to start your business? And like, why is it worth it for someone who has the itch to break the creative struggle?
I guess this is going to sound a little bit controversial, but to prove to yourself and to other people around you that it can be done. At least,
Mm.
I know it's a little bit different in the States, but at least back here, running your own creative business is like the most taboo thing you could do. You're probably, yeah, you're really not that encouraged to do it here. It's just like, why don't you just get a 9 to 5? Just, come on, be normal. And it's like, no, I would hate my life if I was in an office, 24/7 in the same office doing something that I really don't care about and working towards someone else's goal. But
Yeah.
to break that struggle means like, oh, I'm actually working for myself. I'm building my own life. I get to, make the shots, call the shots.
Totally.
And it's so empowering. It's so fun, like,
Yeah.
getting to choose where I get to do my next weddings. It's like, hey, I want one in Mexico. I'll
Uh,
start marketing towards Mexico and hopefully get over there soon. So, and I think, at the end of the day, you have to love it. And that saying that goes, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. But it's so true. If you're waking up each and every day, even if you're not hitting that 6-figure goal, if you're managing to support yourself, or you're just doing okay, but you're
Mm-hmm.
loving what you're doing, then
Yes.
you've made it. You've got it. Because then there's people that earning way more than you, who hate their job, getting up at like 4 a.m., going to work, and looking at you being like, how is he running his own business? Like, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I choose to be creative? Why did I go in this corporate job that, doesn't fulfill me?
Yeah.
So I think it means a lot more than just financial freedom. I think it's a
totally.
lot more about like, yeah, freedom of doing what we want to do.
Yeah.
doing the work you want to do, meeting the people you want to meet, going the places you want to go, and just having fun with it.
Yeah, I love that. Do you want to name anybody that didn't believe in you? No.
Uh, my mom.
Mom,
No, honestly,
Mom, look at Sam.
No, mom is the
Like,
biggest
actually-
support. Mom's biggest support, huh?
but no, mom did believe me. If she sees this, she'll get mad. But my brother, he never said it, but he was very skeptical on me starting my own business. Kind of like, oh yeah, whatever. Why don't you get a real job? Blah blah blah. Now he's a psychologist. He's breaking away and wanting to start his own practice. And I think
Let's
it's because there was. I don't want to say it was totally me. I'm sure there were other factors, but I think one turning point was when we had this conversation about taxes, and he got so mad because of how little I was paying versus how much I was making. He's like, no, this, you can't do that. That's not fair, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's not, how much you make, it's when you get taxed. And I think he
How much you
realized
keep
that.
is when you get taxed.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah, an
I love
employee,
that,
being
Sam.
an employee is basically just like the government gets to do whatever they want with your money. Versus
Oh, yeah.
you can structure some strategy and do it as a business owner, and it's very helpful. Very
Sam's
very
just
helpful.
inspiring all of Australia to quit their jobs right now, and I love
Well,
it. I am
no,
here for it. I
there's
am
too
here
many.
for it.
There's too many tradies here that should be doing weddings instead. Just quit, put
There
down the
you go.
tools, and pick up a camera. And get
Yes,
enough-
throw the wrench out and pick up a camera. I love
That's
it.
awesome.
Well, dude, this has been awesome.
Yes.
Sam, thanks for being on the show, bro.
Thank
This
you
has
so
been a
much for
long
your
time
time.
coming. This has been great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
been
to
fun.
see you again. Thanks for giving so much value to everybody, and we can't wait to catch up with you and have you on the podcast in another year or something and see
Yeah.
where you're at.
I know.
I'll have
It'll
to
be
come
so
up
fun.
and visit you guys in California.
Let's do an in-person podcast
Yeah.
review. Let's
Hey,
do
if you make it back here, you're on. Let's
You're
do it.
on. You're on.
Done.
Aw.
All right, thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam. We'll
Easy.
talk to you soon. That was so fun with Sam. I felt like there are so many just good nuggets in there that I feel like if you are someone wanting to get into the destination space, take those pieces of nuggets and just start implementing them. Even slowly, right? Little things here and there with your brand, with your client experience, all that kind of stuff so that you can start booking awesome weddings wherever maybe you're like, I want to shoot weddings in Australia. I live in the US. Whatever that is, if you are wanting to get into that space, that was such good advice. So cheers
And
to Sam.
Maybe the silver lining in all of that advice, something you should take away from the podcast, is that it is possible for you. It is possible to go from 20 grand to $194,000 a year like Sam did, doing what he loves. If there's one thing I want you to take away from that it is possible if you focus on the right things. Now, if you need help focusing on the right things, the same way Sam did, the same way that we got to help Sam, our Creativ Rise Mastermind going into round 12 here in the fall here is the thing that can help you do that. You heard Sam talk about it, but it is a 6-week business incubator to really help you cut the noise and get so focused on what are the actual tactical, intangible steps you need to take in your business. Not that you're guessing or you making them up or handing them to you. People that have been where you're trying to go before you, we can hand those to you and help you actually build those. And even better, as Sam said, we also can wrap you in the arms of an actual community that is not competing with you, but is actually cheering for you, which is game changing. It's what's changed a lot of Sam's business. It's what's changed our businesses and so many other people that are inside of the Creativ Rise ecosystem over the last 5 years of us getting to do this. So if you're new to Creativ Rise, the Creativ Rise Mastermind is a 6-week program. As I said, it's like a business incubator. We run it twice a year, one time in the late winter, early spring, and then in the fall. The fall round is coming up. It's round 12. We only take about 30 businesses each time, which is why do we do that?
Because we want it to be intimate so that you can actually get results, that you get
100%.
intimate attention, all of that kind of stuff. So it is an absolute blast. We are so excited for round 12. And again, it's coming this fall, which we are so pumped. So if you want to be around people like Sam, if you want to be around us, if you want to be around other creatives who are really going, hey, you know what? This isn't just a hobby. This is something that I'm really pursuing as my career, or maybe you're already pursuing this as your career. Maybe you've already crossed the 6-figure mark, but you want to do it in a healthier way, or you want to scale it to multiple
Switch
multiple 6 figures.
industries.
Switch industries. We've got people from every type of background coming into this mastermind, and it is so, so cool. So if you want to be a part of it, all you got to do is hop on the wait list. So all you got to do is go down to the show notes. We've got links everywhere, or just creativrise.com. You can jump on the wait list. No commitment. It's totally free to jump on the wait list. You'll get, a little introduction welcome email. You're going to get early access pricing. You're going to get bonuses, you're gonna get all that kind of stuff if you're on the wait list. So you don't want to miss out on the wait
Yeah.
list. There's too much good stuff in there to miss out. So jump on the wait list, and we would love to see you apply for round 12 of the next.
Yeah, we
mastermind.
can't wait to see who the 30-ish businesses that we're going to take are going to be. It's always a blast getting to
Yeah.
meet everybody and really give all of ourselves, the rest of the team here at Creativ Rise, into the mastermind to get people just like Sam the maximum amount of results and as far as we can get you in 6 weeks towards where you want to be with your business. So helping give you a six-figure foundation in 6 weeks is what we do best. The Creativ Rise Mastermind, we'd love to help you do that with that. But thanks for being here. If you love this episode, share it with a friend. Share it with somebody who can learn from Sam's story, be encouraged by it, be inspired by it, or even be corrected by it. If you can take some of the things Sam has learned and shared, and they can help course correct you into a better future for your own business. So go share it. Hit Sam up on Instagram, Sam Battin Films. Go say thank you, or just connect with him there. If you want to check out his work, it's really awesome. Sam, thank you so much for being on the podcast, bro. We think you are the greatest thing that ever happened to Australia, and we can't wait to have you back on the podcast. See you guys.